Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we have a 2023 Chevy Silverado 3500, and we're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the CURT Front Mount Trailer Hitch Receiver. A few reasons of why people install front mount hitches on their trucks is you may want to haul a bike rack on the front, or a cargo carrier, maybe a front mount winch, or something that might surprise you is even a snowplow on the front. Now, as far as weight capacity goes for this hitch, you're going to have a 500-pound max tongue weight capacity, which is the downward pressure on the inside of the receiver tube. This comes in handy if you are using those bike racks or cargo carriers. You want to be sure to not overload the front mount hitch. You also want to check with your vehicle's front suspension, see what it's designed to handle on the front. Maybe look into a front suspension enhancement if you have something that's so heavy on the front. If you are planning to use this to move trailers around, it's not uncommon to stick a ball mount in here and push trailers around, get them parked a little bit easier than it would be to back them into a spot. You can throw a ball mount in here, and your max gross trailer weight rating that you can push with this or pull is 5,000 pounds. And if you're using it for a winch or a recovery point, your max capacity for straight line pull on it will be 9,000 pounds. This hitch is going to feature a 2-inch hitch receiver opening, so it's going to accept all your 2-inch accessories. The hitch pin hole, it will not come with a hitch pin, but it'll fit your standard 5/8 inch hitch pin to get those accessories safely secured to the hitch. Now, a few measurements for you guys so you know what you're getting. From the center of our hitch pin hole to the outermost part of our bumper to our license plate holder here is about 6 inches. To our bumper, it's about 5 inches. From the ground to the top inside of the receiver tube, it's going to be about 13.5 inches. That should be more than enough clearance if you're hauling a bike rack or cargo carrier on the front. With it being on the front of the vehicle, it may not be a bad idea to go with a bike rack that has a rise in it, or even a cargo carrier that has a rise. Now, as far as the installation goes, it will require 2 bolts on each side to get it attached to your frame rails. You will not have to drill out those holes. They're already drilled. One of them has an existing bolt in it holding your toe loops in. Which is also a nice feature about this hitch, is that you're not going to lose your toe loops. Usually when you're mounting up a front mount hitch, a lot of them will have you sacrifice your toe loops to be able to get a front mount hitch. But that's all it's going to involve when it comes to attaching it. You'll have the bolt that you will replace one of these bolts that are holding these in, and then put one more in the bottom of the frame. As far as the front plastic here, you will have to trim out a very small piece of the plastic in order to get the hitch to mount high enough. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge deal, but it does get you that extra inch of ground clearance. If you decide later on to replace that piece, it's not a huge piece, so you should be able to pick it up and replace it from the dealership. But with that being said, let's go ahead and pull it in the shop and show you how we did it. To begin our installation, we're going to start by taking a 18mm socket and an 18mm wrench. We'll be working with this bolt right here that is holding our tow hooks in place. We'll put the socket on the nut side and the wrench on the head side. And we're just going to be removing the one from each side. The rearmost bolt, there is a second one in front of it. You can see here on this side a little bit better. This one is going to stay. We're taking this one out. I will take a trim panel tool. We'll get behind this bracket here, pop this wiring up and out of the way because our hitch is going to slide up right here. Now, to get our hardware in place, you will have some fish wires that come in your kit. If you want to, you can run the looped end of our fish wire up and out the end of our frame, but we found it's almost just as easy to slide the bolt up in place and then drop it down through the frame. Having this opening in the end is very, very convenient. Usually when you run fish wires, it is easier to run the fish wire up, but this will work just fine. We'll have to put our spacer blocks in. Essentially what we need to do is we'll need to put a piece of tape on it, cut the tape out of the center hole, then lift it up into place over top of the hole, and then stick this spacer to the frame. The tape is essentially just going to hold it there while we test fit the hitch, and then once we get our the front plastic here trimmed out, then we can pull the hitch back down. We'll mark out this area, trim it out, and then raise our hitch back up and we can bolt them on. We're going to trim this, but in order to measure it out, your instructions will say 3.5 inches wide by 1 inch tall. This is only a 2-inch receiver tube, so we should be able to go with the 1/4 inch walls. We should be able to do 2.5 inches across. You can always cut more material out, but you can't put it back. So we've got this area measured out. We can only go as high as this right now, so we'll cut this out, hold it up into place, and see how it fits. We can put the longer bolts that come in your kit up into our brackets. And these are going to go through the factory holes. That's a lift up a little bit on the hitch, slide it all the way through our frame, and then we'll insert the factory nut on the other side. The hardware combination is going to be the longest bolts in our kit, a conical tooth washer, slide it through the frame, and then on the other side, we'll put the factory nut on. Now, with everything in place, we can snug up our hardware. You will want to snug up these bolts first that are going up into our frame, and then the ones that are going into our tow hook. When you're torquing everything down, you'll want to, again, do the vertical bolts first, and then the ones in the tow hooks. Make sure you're following the specifications and the instructions. Well, with everything working properly, that's going to do it for a look at and installation of the CURT Front Mount Trailer Hitch Receiver.